Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Wargame Red Dragon replay cast. Today it is a 3 vs 3. It is on Hop and Glory again, part of the 3 vs 3 4chan tournament. And I do have a link in the description below, as usual, for the replay website that these are uploaded onto, and many other replays. And I also have a link in the description below for the Reddit discussion about this, so you can learn all about the rules and join the discussion if you will. On the blue team, on the left side of the map here, we have Filthy Casuals that consists of Fuzzball, Red Shield, and Texter. And I've casted numerous Fuzzball games. He's always online and always producing replays. And on the right side here, we have another fairly politically incorrect team, but again, fairly humorous. We have a spectacularly autistic
and autism of chlamydia. Why is autism so cool at the moment?
Because it's funny.
Great.
And we're going to go ahead and speed this on up to the 10x mark. Again, it is on Hop and Glory. The last 4chan game I casted was on Hop and Glory. And usually what ends up happening on this map is that Echo over here is usually some stalemate. It's pretty easy to defend. There's a lot of open territory up here and hard to get around the mountain. It's just generally a stalemate over there. Usually one side holds Juliet, one holds Echo there. And it usually ends up occurring a big battle in Gulf and sometimes Foxtrot. So now our autistic team is pushing forward here with a ton of helicopters. And again, in this tournament, you cannot helicopter push directly to your enemy's main base and do that sort of cheap harassment sort of deal. But this really doesn't count. This is just sort of a push trying to get into Delta as fast as possible. That is certainly a viable strategy in this tournament. And he's got to land as soon as possible here because his opponent is coming very, very quickly. And he will lose lots of these here. And we have DHS moving along as well. With some DAPs here to defend, and there's going to be launching stingers there. Meanwhile, our red opponent getting to Gulf. Looks like he's going to get to Gulf first, and Gulf isn't really going to be that defended from the blue team, which is somewhat unusual, as this is usually where all the excitement happens in this map. But it looks like this time around it may be Foxtrot. We seem to have a big push coming up towards here into this town. And we'll see if he decides to either beeline over to Gulf or go up to Foxtrot. Foxtrot right now is unloading troops as we speak here. Some ATGMs and some recon. And he's just unloading in the town right now, not really moving forward. An F-45 Phantom moving on overhead here, and see what its target is going to be. It's going to be dropping here. It's going to hit a lot of BTRs. It may even hit some of his own Rangers there. It did hit some of his own Rangers, and forces them out, even burns a few of them out. But not too big of a deal. There's only a Conkers over here, and these Rangers could easily take that. That would be a nice prize to take. But the Conkers is quite... I would say Conkers is one of the best ATGMs in the game. It has extremely long range. It's just so good. We have two M1 IPs over here. One of my preferred tanks in the game. M1 IP just really gets the job done. 80 cost, has really great armor, really great damage. It's just super good. The only thing bad about it is it doesn't have that max 25 meter range on its main gun. It only has 2100, which is somewhat disappointing. But if it had the max range, it would be way up. So now Delta is under attack this time around. This is actually a very rare push. You don't really see this too often. Usually going over this bridge is total suicide, and coming around here is suicide, because your enemy can set up here into this town very, very easily. This team from this side, as you can see, the road not very a long distance, much longer for the blue team. So very strange game so far. Gulf is still neutralized here, sort of technically owned by the red team right now. And so far our red team does have a +2 advantage. And I did not mention the members of, or actually our blue team has the +2 advantage. My bad there. And I didn't mention the members of our red team of Spectacularly Autistic. We have Cockmed 24, 22, 42, bunch of numbers, and Rodney Thundercock, which I thought was really great, and Jack Attack. So I'm sorry, red team. I'm very sorry that I didn't introduce you guys right off the bat there. But now you guys have been introduced, and everything is all good. So a +2 advantage for the blue team, not for the red team. So 94 team points going so far to 0. So a very interesting game indeed. I usually like watching this map from this point of view. I don't know why really, but it just seems to suit me a little bit better. And we have some troops pushing into the town line here, and our red team is actually in a little bit of trouble on the left side. Echo could easily be taken here. It looks like a Blackhawk coming with a CV now. Not sure what he's going to do, if he's going to put this in Echo, which would be a safe bet to put it in Echo, but it'll only give him a +1 advantage. But if they put it in Delta and put the CV troop in the ground here, in the blocks, they will be able to hold this town pretty easy and get a +2 advantage. So we'll see what he decides to do. We also had another CV troop coming out with the UH here, so we could actually take Echo and Delta at the same time there for the blue team. SU-22 moving overhead. And TV guidance. And looks like he got something there, maybe an APC, not really sure. Nothing too good, and lost the SU-122 there, or SU-22, for not too much. And MiG flying overhead now, and looks like it's going to be dropping, I believe, napalm all over the area. No, just some cluster bombs there, and doesn't really hit much of anything. F4s flying overhead, trying to get to that jet there, but it looks like it was a little bit too late, so they're just going to have to evac on out of there. Meanwhile, the Tunguska blasting away at him. One of them is destroyed. The other F4 is just flying around in circles, needs to evac out of there, needs to just push it this way and then evac. And he will lose that jet too, so 2 jets to that Tunguska there. That was very unnecessary. Now the red team pushing forward into Gulf still doesn't have a CV over here, so it's still neutralized. I would like to see a CV. At least it would bring down to only a +4 advantage for our blue team. And red team now trying to hold on as best they can here, right behind Delta, but they're going to have a problem pushing forward here. We got an M1 IP. We had some Delta Force right on the edge, and I can't really recommend Delta Force on the edge, but it is what it is right now. And Buntai 90s on the edge as well. But we do have some firepower coming out here from the red team. We have T-72s. MrSotko trying to make the distance now, but they're getting slammed by that M1 IP, so that T-72 really needs to start working on that M1 IP. Otherwise, these MrSotko here are just going to get jacked up pretty bad, and that's what it's doing now. Now focusing on that M1 IP, the T-72S is a superior tank. Not by too much, but it's still a superior tank. Like I said earlier, the M1 IP is pretty good. It's just sort of a, I think it's one of the best tanks for the cost, in my opinion. It's pretty good. T-72 OBR here in a little bit of trouble. We have, what is firing all that? We have an LRM blasting away. And, well, the tanks aren't too much in trouble here. Those are HE rounds. So the unfortunate side is the infantry there. A Hornet flying overhead. Looks like it used its Vulcan there, but didn't get too much. Blue team totally has Foxtrot. This is pretty much not going to happen to take this, although does consist mostly of just like ATGMs and some recon, which recon aren't necessarily the greatest fighters in the game. They're just really meant for recon. So a push in there could make it, but the ATGMs, we're going to be really hard to actually push some APCs, some troops across into that, because you're going to lose some APCs to those Milans by the time you get there. More than likely, unless you smoke, which I just don't see enough in this game. I would really like to see a lot of smoke in this game, but people just don't do it a lot, which is very interesting. Although on one end of the scale, it gives away your position entirely, or it gives away your intent, if you will, entirely. Because if you pop a bunch of smoke here, like, it's pretty obvious that you're about to get attacked there. But also, it makes it very, very easy for you to push up troops, because they just simply can't fire through the smoke. LSTR here, 40, just about to get wrecked here by Delta Force. The Delta Force should occupy the same block, and they're really, really good in the same block, but not necessarily block to block. And 17 MrSotko going to be coming in here, and Delta Force should occupy this block with the MrSotko. Actually, they're going to go here in this one. I guess that was a slightly earlier one. Delta Force move over, but again, I recommend going into the same block there. They have the CQC rifle. and they have 9mm close range weapons, MP5s, and so they do huge damage within block of these same. That's pretty much what Delta 4s are. If you use them in the woods, or if you use them in the open, or block to block, they're fairly disappointing. But the MrSotko there got pretty much wrecked, but because it was multiple Hans and the Delta 4s all working together there, 15 of them and 7 Delta 4s, so it was quite overwhelming for those MrSotko, which are particularly poor troops, but they're very cheap, and they also have very high AP power RPGs. But otherwise, their fighting ability and sustainability is pretty low. You just pretty much, honestly, you just pretty much spam them for the most part. Commandosi pushing forward here, going after the AMX, and looks like the AMX will get out of there in time. Panther now blasting away here. And LSTR can fire Igla, and takes those down. Finishes off that helicopter there. Still a +4 advantage for our blue 4, or our blue team. Not necessarily blue 4. Well, this is a NATO team, and we do have a Red 4 team here as well. So technically, it is sort of NATO versus Red 4, blue 4 versus Red 4. And whatever you like to particularly call it. I'm always used to Red 4 and Blue 4. I was sort of an Arma player a while back, and so that sort of like burned Red 4 and Blue 4 into my brain there. So a +4 advantage for the blue team, doing pretty well here, and I don't see our red team doing too much right now. They did finally take Gulf, which it would be a +5 advantage right now, but now it's a +4 because they did finally take Gulf. And so many SU-70 or SU-7 BMs moving on in here, and this is going to be a major strike if all of these are going to go off. And there is just pepper everywhere. This whole line is just dominating, and honestly, that was very disappointing. He didn't get much. If that was, if they were all clustered right here, that would have been devastating for the blue team. They would have lost quite a bit there. But even still, they have a pretty commanding presence all the way around. Even if they lost the center there, I still don't think our red team would have been able to push in very well. He does have a CV T-72 ready to go if they get the chance, but they just don't right now. T-72 OBR now pushing forward. The Buntai, 17 Buntai here though, and they do have Garl Gustav, so that T-72's got to watch out. They get a little bit too close there. Now the T-72 is fine. The Buntai's moved back a little bit, leaving the T-72 to just blast away those Rokus. And now it's just going to start firing on the Delta Force here, and anything that is exposed over this way. Hornet flying overhead here. TV Guidance takes out the OBR, so no more OBR. That is off the game now. For the meantime, still another one's made. Leclerc all the way back here, and it's really just sitting there. I'm not really sure what the Leclerc's doing all the way back there. Should be moving up. It's a really good tank to be wasting on just sitting around. And now more HE bombs coming on in here, trying to destroy some of these troops, but I don't think it's going to be enough here to stop this whole blob right now. And we have some APCs pushing forward with troops trying to make it into the town here. This is sort of a desperate push. We have tons of Mott shoots and 35 of them, but they're just getting blasted by this Nana Shikis, and the Shikis just pummeling from way downtown here and just reducing the numbers so much. Destruction every time these fire. They're taking something out. 4 APCs split up here trying to move in. That T-72 can fire back at the Shikis, but the Shikis, although not particularly good, the T-72 CV is not particularly good either. T-72S now firing away, firing those SALH missiles from across the way here from the tanks, and has 3 left, and is slow to fire here. It's panicked, so it's much slower to fire, but there's so many Shikis here, and they are decent They actually have quite a bit of damage, 13 AP power for only, but they have 6 armor, so that is sort of their downfall there. They only do 2100 range as well, whereas the T-72 outranges them by a little bit. They're 2275, and I think earlier I said the max range of these tanks were 2225, but it's like 2275. But anyway, 50 meters either way there. MrSotko and the Buntai going at it. MrSotko successfully made it into this town here and are doing a good job now. 30 will definitely take down those numbers, and as soon as they take these out, they can move over here and possibly take out some of these Shikis, or just move into the town for safety, and then they won't be fired at from around here. Now the red team has made it into Delta for now, and going strong here in Delta, but the CV T-72 that was waiting there and was brought up was taken out by all those Shikis. So there's just so many Shikis here, and they all have 13 AP power, and that was more than enough there. Just a few shots to take out that T-72, and another few rungs here. Now being brought up to Delta, trying to hold this. An attack has been called here on the Shikis, and they are, it is attack worthy. Those Shikis have caused quite a bit of problems here. We have another Shiki incoming as well. And a Kula blasting away here from far off. And trying to take out these Shikis one by one here, but missing quite a bit. I think one of them was struck eventually. Another miss there. Akula is a little bit too far back, and they are backing up at the same time there. So missing quite a bit. Another Shiki was fired at, but it just moved into the woods. Missed that one. One SALH missile left. And looks like the game is all over. Our blue team, Filthy Casuals, have won the game, consisting of Fuzzball, Red Shield, and Texter. And as soon as another 4chan 3vs3 tournament game comes out, I will cast that one. And just as a reminder, again, there's two links below in the description. One of them will take you to the replay site where you can upload replays, download replays. It is a pretty basic website. It's basically you just upload or just download. That's pretty much it. And there's another link in the description, and that one consists of the Reddit conversation about the 4chan 3vs3 tournament, so you can join in on that, learn the rules, and all that such. But I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and I will see you guys next time.